Good evening, everyone. We would like to thank all of you for the participation in this video conference. We're going to share details about relevant fact published by Random Corp today after the market's closure, and we communicate the strategic partnership between Rents and Patra Investments. We have simultaneous translation to English and sign language. To picture audio in English, press on the button interpretation on the bottom bar. To listen to just the translator, select the option mute original audio. This video conference is being recorded. The recording will be made available on our website, the investor relation to the investor. This presentation contains forward-looking statements that are subject to risk and uncertainties. These statements are based on management's belief and assumptions, as well as currently available information. We start with a message from Sérgio Carvalho. Afterwards, the Vice Executive of Vertical Soluções Financeiras, Daniel Eli, will bring the strategy of rents and everything published today. Vigolato, our CFO, will explain the operational structure. Daniel Randon, President of Randon Corp, will bring his final message. After the presentations, we have the traditional Q&A session conducted by RI Director Esteban Angeletti. Also connected with us, the other members of the Executive Committee, our team of Investment Relationship, and the team that we thank the presence. I would like to remember that to participate in the Q&A session, you can follow the information on the screen, indicate your participation any moment of the event. In case we don't have time to answer all the questions live, our RI team will get in contact after the event. I pass the floor now to Sergio to start the presentation. Thank you, Caroline. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this important announcement for our Randon Corp. I would like to start off with a recap. Is the slide being shared? Yes, Sergio. Perfect, thank you. I'd like to do a recap of the transformation journey of Randon Corp. Since we have several opportunity talked about and showed it to you, our company is going through accelerated growth, international expansion of our business, always transforming, but seeking a greater resilience and profitability in our business, transforming ourselves into a more complete company, always offering several solutions for the automotive sector. And the mandala you see in the screen represents the 5 business verticals that we have very quickly. On orange, we have the OEM with trailers and trucks. In the right, in green, we have auto parts for heavy vehicles, axles, suspension, brakes, many other products. In blue, we have our motion control or mobility with friction material, products for axles, for suspension, for the powertrain system and other activities. In green, we have our technology, advanced technology area, where we have our Ercílio Randon Institute, where we create our new technologies. We have industrial automation, nanotechnology area for simulation and modeling, testing, laboratory, so forth. In yellow, to the left, we have our RANds, which is financial services and digital services arm that we're going to elaborate or detail more. We have several segments: agricultural machinery, trucks, buses, trailers, industrial sector, automobile technology, logistics, with customers, different customers, truck manufacturer, bus, agricultural machinery manufacturers, spare parts distributor, cargo, technology companies, logistics operator. So a network of customers that is wide. Gustavo, what we do, go back one source. In our rents, we have a transformation, a large transformation happening. Until recently, we had our consortium or co-op payment plan that our bank that offered credit to the market. This is our main area of activity for financial services. Well, the expansion happened and is happening in a meaningful way. We incorporated the part of insurance. We started to do startup investment. We entered vehicle rental, heavy vehicle rental business with Gent together with Gerdau. We invested in service, digital service companies, software, purchasing DB server, to control DB server. We also acquired Delta company acting in digital services. Therefore, a meaningful transformation, increasing the services that we offer. And this vertical rents this year, this last year, it achieved 6% of the revenue of Randon Corp with 850 or 44 million, 28% EBITDA margin, which is quite healthy, and a total of 236 million, as you can see in the screen. Despite representing 6% of revenue, it represents 15% of the EBITDA of the company or the group. On the right, you can see that consortium or co-op payment plan is 43% financing, investment and payments, 41% of revenue, and the digital services technology representing 14.5%. Insurance and technical assistance a bit over 1%. Our expectation in this model of growth, accelerated growth model, but also seeking in a restless way more resilience, our objective or rents vertical should continue to grow with a speed above the other units that we have in our product portfolio. We believe that in the future, in the next years, this vertical should get 10% of our total revenue. A few years ago, 2019, this vertical represented 190 million of our net revenue, and currently it's at 844. It used to be 3%, 190 million. We are at 6% with 845 million, more or less. Next one. And where is this in our strategy? You can see the slide. We shared this slide during Randon Corp Day some time ago. And you can see number 5, which is expansion of financial services, digital and financial services, which is linked to this talk that we're having with you today, this novelty we want to present. Okay, guys, now I pass the floor to Danielle Eli, that will continue to talk about our strategy and give you more details about the transition. Eli? Thank you, Sergio. Can you hear me well, Caroline? Just to check. Perfect. Very clear. Great. As Sergio mentioned, in this strategy of growth that we're calling RANTs or vertical for financial and services in Brandon Corp, we are achieving expressive numbers. I would like to highlight two or three. We are the third biggest consortium or co-op payment plans for heavy vehicles in Brazil. If we don't consider the big banks as independent, we would be number one. We have over 14 billion currently guys in business generated with this financial solution that includes the co-op payment plans, insurance, and bank. Over 2,000 sales professionals in Brazil with 45,000 active customers. As Sergio explained, in the last 3 to 4 year cycle, RANs grew 46% a year on average. So it's an expressive growth, keeping the profitability and its contribution margin we see in our strategy for Rand Corp. Rand's getting to the 9-10% in our revenue share. We have another cycle ahead of us of 3 to 4 years where we need to continue to grow with this speed at this average rate that we have achieved in the last years. With the strategic project that we want to explain now. So, RANds in a normal life cycle of a company, we can consider today it's more than a bank or a consortium co-op payment plan. We are a platform with over 40 financial solutions and services that is in an accelerated growth. Obviously, when you have accelerated growth, we need to make an effort and invest to keep the growth because we have opportunities and we have a market that we're going to detail, which is for these co-op payment plans and insurance that we can grow with rates higher than we have done in the last 3 to 4 years. And here we have a strategic project, which is to seek this partner, a private equity, an institution. We have analyzed this for over a year that could add to the robustness that we have in this co-op payment plan market insurance that we have at Brandon Corp to advance in logistics and transportation, but also in agriculture, retail, and other segments. So here we announce the creation from inside Rands, a holding that adds two businesses, the consortium of co-op payment plan and insurance. As you saw before, as Sergio showed, the co-op payment plan and insurance is 45% of net revenue of Rands. Let's round things out. Basically, half of their revenue comes from these two business. Insurance is still small. We have a huge potential of growth in insurance, and we are together with Patria Fund, one of the biggest fund in Latin America, biggest private fund in Latin America that has experience with these co-op payment plans. They have experience with they have a vertical for high growth and they have co-op payment plans as a thesis for investments. So here we put together two important factors, the credibility, reputation, the structure that Rands already has assembled in place and the channels that we manage today. Some are white label, where we are more in the back office, together with the reputation of Patria, the knowledge that they have of the market. In the next slide, if we compare, there's a big, they complement each other in this partnership. And for the current moment, what we would like to build for the next 4 years for the next cycle. As we said, we are leader in financial product and logistics, third biggest uh, co-op payment plan for heavy vehicles, but we want to advance in other segments, not only heavy vehicles. Patria, Patria brings this expertise in other segments. They have an experienced team. We have our own very well structured channels, but we have a possibility to expand to other channels, exclusive channels, also coming from this partnership with Patria, accelerating our digitalization and growth. We want to do this with a lot of technology, a lot of automation. Currently, we work a concept of co-op payment plans that are more and more digital. Our investment to accelerate this digitalization is linked to what Patra is doing already. They invested in secondary co-op payment plan. Patra is already inserted as an investment. We haven't entered the segment yet. I could speak during minute longly about the potentials that Rands plus Patria together have to increase the journey of growth in the next few years. Market is favorable. All analysts know who's watching. The co-op payment plan is a market that's in expansion. In consolidation also, it's a moment of consolidation. It's important to have a strong distribution power and distinct channels seeking to create potential with the potentials, a greater number of co-op payment plans. It's what we believe is most adequate in the moment to continue to be a relevant player and become even more relevant in the market of co-op payment plans. As a slide from my side as a strategy, I said that rounds grew around 46% average a year the last 3 to 4 years. If we look at just this business of co-op payment plan and insurance, we grew at a rate of 18% because we had the need to structure better a few processes, etc. Now we're very comfortable to increase this growth rate in co-op payment plans with seeking the support in terms of investment, competencies that Patra will bring to us at this moment. For these four fronts that are the most important, that can sustain an accelerated, even more accelerated growth, a strong digitalization, entrance of alternative channels, added to the ones we have, the market of uh, adjacent goes beyond logistics and transportation, but beyond the traditional model of consortium being able to get into the other expanding markets and the capabilities of both that add to each other, as I showed before. What we have, uh, the partnership is paramount for the advance with France. What Sergio said, to seek 8, 9% uh, share in revenue, but it's also very important for our platform for solutions, financial solutions, to grow the arm of insurance and co-op payment plans in a sustainable manner for the next years. To be brief, this is the overall strategy that permeates the backdrop of our partnership with Patria that we signed today. Now I pass the floor to Paulo Pringolato. Pringolato will explain how will be the operation structure. Good evening. Can you hear me well? Yes. Thank you for being in this moment with us on such a short notice. I'm gonna talk about the corporate structure of the operation. What we're telling you is we will constitute a holding in which Randon Corp will keep control with up to 80% share, and Patria will have around 20%. The contract foresees the injection of up to 320 million reais. The price is subject to a review until the operation. Notice that the holding at the end of the day will have this distribution in a share in a partnership having 100% of hand-on insurance and 100% of hand-on consortiums, which is the co-op payment plan. It's important to mention that the multiple for this type of transaction, in the case of the co-op payment plan, the criteria to be used is based on net revenue due to relevant influence of accountability rules applied to this type of deal. Here, the estimate timeline of the operation. Currently, we are in the signing. We did the signing on April 7th. We estimate that the closing will happen between September to November of 2025. Why? In reality, we have to count on the approvals of CAD and Central Bank, CADE and Central Bank. We believe this will happen in 6 to 8 months. So in this stage of the closing, we should receive up to 60% of the amount, around 180 million reais. And post-closing is foreseen in between September to November of 2026. There's receiving up to 40% of the value. In other words, around 140 million reais. It's important, as I said, the second installment has will be corrected. The price is should be affected by the normal adjustments. I'll pass the floor to Daniel Randon for his final message. Thank you. Good evening. I would like to thank the shareholders, market analysts, and everybody that's on this call. To us, this initiative is aligned to the future vision of Randon Corp or RAND's vertical, especially co-op payment plans and insurance. It will contribute to our service growth, service department area with Patria, improves our governance, will continue to contribute with the resilience of our growth in RAND's vertical. Especially the last years, we have worked strongly to work together for digital transformation, a huge opportunity to scale this with the expertise of the guys from Patria, and the increment in capital will add a lot working for gain of scale. Without a doubt, I'd like to reinforce the importance of this moment for Randon Corp so that the company continues to grow in a sustainable manner. In Rands, we see as an opportunity. Sergio, Daniel, Eli reinforced the history of growth in the last few years. Without a doubt, with the presence of this investment, a partnership with Patria will be an opportunity to continue to grow. I'm very optimistic to see the growth of brands, especially continue to work reinforcing the increment that Randon Corp has done together with the business increment in terms of portfolio, important businesses to increment Randon Corp, especially when we look at long-term vision. A very important moment for Randon Corp. It will add more value. We are very optimistic with this important partnership. I pass the floor to Carol to start our Q&A session. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, the directors, for your presentations. We will start the Q&A session now. For those that want to participate, we have the instructions on the screen. So we start with VBI Bradesco analyst, André Ferreira. We're opening your mic. You can ask away. Hello, good evening. Thank you for the space. Congratulations for the transaction. I have two questions. First, you mentioned to expand beyond heavies and some adjacent business models. If you can mention what are segments or more attractive models to you guys. And the second question, you mentioned projects also in different stages. So if you have any projects that you can mention or give an overall guidance of the main projects, thank you. Very well. Andrea, thank you for being on this call in a short notice. The two questions, without a doubt, Danielle Lee headed the deal is heading Rands will be able to answer. Before I pass the floor to Danielle, this characteristic of Rands, we have one of our greatest qualities as a company, as a vertical for financial services and digital services, is this ecosystem that our business was able to build in the last few years, where more and more we seek to capture not only the life cycle of our customer, but penetrating in other segments that are adjacent. Danielle, feel free to tell us what are the segments or business models that are more obvious that we can act upon. Your mic is closed, Danielle. Thank you, Steben. Thank you for your question. When we talk about increasing transport logistics, maybe this doesn't have too much visibility to our investors, but we're talking about other segments. For example, retail. Today, we have our own brand called Hakon in consortium or co-op payment plan for vehicles and real estate. We have another IEE for services, for co-op payment plan for services. We already have white label administration of John Deere co-op payment plan. We classify it as agro. We have the management of DAFI co-op payment plan. We will continue to grow where we are already doing well. These channels relating to logistics and transport in heavy vehicles, but we see an opportunity, an avenue of growth, a strong avenue of growth in retail, in services, a market that's a bit different, but we are already have navigated for a decade and a half, over 15 years. We have this. Hakon, for example, but we never used its full potential. When we talk about other models, it's looking at the secondary market for co-op payment plan. One of the markets that we are not in you looking in a structured, organized way, and we have the expertise with Patria. We want to enjoy this expertise very much, as Danielle said. It's a lot more than an investment. It's that smart money, the expertise that they have in these business models. So this would be the answer regarding your first question. The other projects, obviously, as Rand's vision, creating another cycle with accelerated growth in a year, demands that we look at the other Rand's verticals, projects related not only to financial solutions, but recently, for 2 years, we announced our a rental arm, a partnership with Gerdau, where we create Agente. Another example, we got together with Gerdau to enter this market in a more aggressive manner. 14% of RAND's revenue comes from innovation and technology, which was less than 2% 2 years ago. In other words, we have a share of 14% coming from software engineering, Delta DB side. We have the potential to grow here. The projects are related to these three segments in RANds: financial solutions, a part of management and fleet rental, and a part of technology and innovation. In this moment, we understand that consortium or co-op payment plan and insurance is where we have the highest potential to grow for the next years at higher rates. That's why we have this project and a partnership with Patria. Very clear. Thank you. Good evening. If you allow me, Andrea, with rental, we didn't consolidate the results. That's why the revenue distribution per activity, we don't see the revenue that comes from Gianchi. Just for this, we didn't do the consolidation. It's as an equivalent. Thank you, Sergio. So let's go to the next question for today from this analyst of Citibank, Kiefer Kennedy. Good evening, Kiefer. You can ask your question. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity. Congratulations for the deal. A question is more technical. I doubt you mentioned this revenue multiple of 3.4. I would like to confirm with you. I don't know if this is what Sergio mentioned. According to the revenue you published, it would be a little bit over 4. There's a difference here. And second, you mentioned the need of cash to sustain growth. You partially already answered me where you talk about where you're acting in the future of the company. Just to understand if we can think about something more specific and a specific investment to compose your assets one way or another. So these two questions. Thinking about the multiple that you announced and the allocation of resources. Thank you, Keith, for your question and for being on the call. Second question, Danielle can answer about the allocation of resources that will enter once we conclude the deal. And regarding your first part of your question, the perimeter of the transaction is exactly revenue and business of random consortiums or co-op payment plan and RANds vertical. It's the percentage we published now recently, the next 45% of the revenue. Maybe a point to close this math, this multiple of transaction is based on pre-money, not the post-money valuation. So it's necessary to use the pre-money estimate to close the transaction multiple. Danielle, please feel free to comment more about the use of resources. The resources will be invested fully for acquisitions, JVs, acquire portfolio regarding these co-op payment plan and insurance. You saw that insurance has a smaller share, but there's an avenue for growth, greater opportunity also. These projects and targets already exist. A previous idea in Patria on our side and Patria's side before the deal that now after the approval by CADE and Central Bank, we will close the negotiations, at least one or two, but it won't be far or anything different from this perimeter, which is the co-op payment plan and insurance. But in co-op payment plan, I can say there's a lot of opportunity in retail, which is probably where we will prioritized for the first investment, but we still will analyze this once the deal is closed. Great. Congratulations once again. Thank you. Let's go to the next question this evening from Andressa Varotto, analyst from Yes. Good evening, Andressa. You can ask your question. Good evening. Thank you for letting me ask the question. I have 2 points. First point, understand better the capabilities of Patria today inside insurance and co-op payment plan to understand how it will complement the scope of the transaction. Why don't you open for other segments of brands? Second question is regarding draws the attention the valuation of the transaction compared to what we see the company. You see other leverages to unlock value for the company. These are the 2 points. Thank you. Interesting 2 points about the capabilities of Patria. Danielle can answer this, and after the issue valuation of the transaction comparison of the valuation of the company as a whole, I invite Paulo to bring and share a bit of his considerations also. Andressa, I anticipate this is one of the facts that we people ask the most in the conferences because really the valuation there's a discrepancy when we have Frosley with that's openly traded and implicit valuation. Now this transaction makes the valuation of consortium or co-op payment plan and insurance business more visible to the market. Danielle, I start with your answer about the potential capabilities of Patria. Thank you, Andressa, for your question. To highlight, as when I showed that complementary plot, what I'd like to highlight, Patria in the last 2 years has in their vertical, high growth vertical, they have a very strong study about the consortium and co-op payment plan vertical. In Patra, they were already seeking where to invest, and the marriage happened. The radar that they have from Patra, the knowledge of the market, and this part of smart money, thinking about everything they can add regarding the analysis and future M&As is huge. Also, the secondary market for consortiums or co-op payment plan, we want to advance. You had asked in the beginning, why not advance another fronts of RANds, if I'm not mistaken? It's the beginning of a relationship where in this moment we will leverage a vertical of Patra of growth that got deeper into the co-op payment plans and insurance. It comes together. There's a lot of synergy between these two channels to be explored, but that won't stop us in the future that the partnership can advance to other solutions of Rand's portfolio. It's the beginning of a relationship that we hope will be very fruitful, will bring great results for both parties, but it's a relationship that can advance and last for many years in other businesses. It's what we expect, and I'm sure that on the side of Patria, the expectation they have regarding this deal with Rand Corp and Rands. Thank you very much, Daniel. Paulo, I pass the floor to talk about the valuation, please. Thank you so much, Andressa, for your participation. Thank you for your question. This is a very relevant point, a question that's important in the context. As you know, we have always said that we consider that the value today, market value today of HAPT4 does not reflect the reality, the true value of the company. We also mentioned that we opted for the allocation of our resources in the M&A projects. Due to this, we didn't establish no new program for rebuying. In other words, if we consider exactly the valuation that was made, it doesn't contemplate all of Rand's. We're talking about a valuation of approximately 186 million reais for co-op payment plan and for insurance. So, coming from a group like Patria with over 35 years of experience and over 244 billion in assets under their management, it's another sign that proves that the value today traded for a stock exchange for Randon value is depreciated. Thank you for your question. Very relevant question. This tends to reflect also and reinforce this point for the better understanding of the market about the real value of Randon. Thank you. Thank you for your participation, Andressa. Now, let's go to the next question. Gabriel Rezende, sales analyst of BBA. Thank you for your participation. You may ask a question. Hello, Caroline. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you. Congratulations for the deal. Thank you for the disclosure with us. I would like to uh, do a follow-up to Andressa's question, talking about the valuation of the company and talking about that slide that Sergio shared that you showed this company strategy. Five was the expansion of financial services. I wanted to understand if there's a next step with the strategic pillars of the company that we can have in mind. We already had recent movements of M&A. Now the expansion in financial services, what would be a eventual next steps, or the company will first digest this before any other movement? The second point, since we're talking specifically about the financial business of the company, we noticed with the last data from Central Bank, the default increased for businesses for automobile credits. Specifically, we did a cross check. We see this is coming especially from heavy vehicles. How do you see this? Did you feel this in your financial operations? If it was expected, given the macro moment that we're going through? Thank you, Danielle, for your questions and for being on our call. Danielle, once again, I'll pass the floor to you to comment about the potential next steps and related to especially the transaction perimeter. And Danielle allowed me to mention, and you can add, talking about default and debt. One point that I'd like to highlight, our customers in the vertical for financial services are people that we know for a long time, customers that we have a long time relationship with, aligned to our credit analysis service, and our business model makes that debt is usually, or default is very low, below the market average, because we have these factors. We know them for a long time with a robust credit analysis and a consolidated business. This makes it impact less Rand's business, even when macro is a bit more delicate, like we're going through now. Danielle, please feel free to add about this point about debt. Gabriel, thank you. Just to check, I think Gabriel's question goes beyond Rand's. From what I understood, next steps as Rand and Corp. But I'm gonna talk about Rands, but that's just to check if my understanding is correct. In Rands, obviously, we continue to grow. In the other segments, the bank We have been transforming our bank from a OEM bank. The bank doesn't have bigger ambitions than transport and logistics. We understand that transport and logistics sector, there are opportunities in the known waters, known customers that we have a strong relationship with already, financing trailers, but we can advance more. This plan is being uh, established the last few years. The bank is structuring itself to support the change, the profile of products for OEM, the origin of a bank to a bank of transport and logistics. As we said about technology and innovation, it used to be 2% of rents, now it's 14% of revenue. And here, do like Danielle said, the need of transformation, digital transformation of our customers. Also, there's a huge potential to be a part of this journey, the customer's journey. With this, to make the customer more loyal in the other verticals where we act in Randon Corp and in the co-op payment plan and talking about debt, if you allow Steven to add, co-op payment plan, the debt is measured by the canceling of quotas. And the reasons, one of the reasons Patra looked for Rands and Randon Corp from the independent players in the market, if you don't look at the big banks, we are today the independent with the lowest cancellation rate. Due to the robustness of our channels, sales action that we have working together with our customer, it's a very well-controlled indicator. What is canceled in a co-op payment plan becomes a secondary market that I mentioned before, which is a focus of the expansion in co-op payment plans to have the this model of co-op payment plan, secondary co-op payment plan as a portfolio solution. As Steven mentioned very well, many of the customers we know for very well, and we have very positive numbers, even going through a market moment that's turbulent in terms of debt or default. But we are still in a very favorable situation if regarding our customers. Gabriel, if you're talking about ask about the other verticals, maybe Esteban or Sergio could add. Perfect, Danielle. You mentioned very well the beginning of the question was about rants, how this movement adds to the movements of the other verticals. In this sense, Sergio, I would like to invite you to mention about the internationalization process. We know that services today is more focused in the domestic market, but we have companies like DB that has movements abroad outside of Brazil, and this can accelerate movements outside of Brazil. So, would you like to mention the connection to the international strategy? I would like, thank you, Sergio. Thank you for your question. As we mentioned in previous events, we will continue our process of internationalization of our companies. In this sense, we've done movements October, November last year with acquiring BS in UK by spare parts. And January this year, we finished the deal with Gulf Refacciones in Mexico. Same month, January, a few days later, we announced the deal with Auto Parts acquiring AXN in the United States. We have Autumn for industrial automation expanding its activities in the United States. According to what Steban already mentioned, DB server that sells digital solutions also structuring itself to address more the North American market. So our intention is to continue with these transactions, with this growth, becoming international. But this year specifically is a year to become stable. We did important transactions, as I mentioned, and we must be certain that the integration of these companies is moving on as expected, that the synergies that we included in our financial models are shown. It's a moment now of make concrete and solidify these movements so that in the future we continue this journey. Some movements, organic nature movements, as I mentioned, of RANs with DB or Alton will continue to happen, but these are smaller movements compared to this moment. It's the same plan. We will continue to become international, but the current moment is a moment of stabilization. Great. It's clear. Thank you, Esteban, Daniel, and Sergio for the answer. Thank you, Gabriel, for your participation. So now we've finished the Q&A session. We want to thank everyone that was with us in this video conference, and I want to pass the floor to Daniel Hendon for his final message. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everybody that participated. Thank you for the questions. It's another important moment, strategic for our RANs service areas that has huge potential for growth. Any questions you have, please get in contact to our investor relationship area, talk to our colleagues. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you.